President Biden delivered his final foreign policy speech at the State Department Monday, and the president said the United States is in a better position on the world stage than it was when he took office.
Right now, in my view, thanks to our administration, the United States is winning the worldwide competition. Compared to 4 years ago, America is stronger. Our alliances are stronger. Our adversaries and competitors are weaker. We have not gone to war to make these things happen.
Biden also highlighted what he called his ability to rally a global coalition to support Ukraine in its war against Russia, his newly formed alliances in the Indo-Pacific, and the fact that he is the first president in decades who is not leading a war in Afghanistan. However, the president has been criticized for the way he ended that conflict. For more, I want to bring in Matthew Kroenig. He's the vice president and senior director of the Atlantic Council's Center for Strategy and Security. I believe Scowcroft, but I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Please correct me if I'm wrong.
Correct.
Thank you. So, Matthew, do you think that President Biden has strengthened the U.S. position on the world stage?
Well, I think with this speech, he, like many presidents, is trying to shape perceptions of his foreign policy legacy. But I think historians are not going to be kind in their assessment of the foreign policy legacy. We have a major war in Europe, a major war in the Middle East. Iran is closer to a nuclear weapon than it's ever been. North Korea's nuclear weapons program continues to expand. China's engaging in daily military coercion against U.S. allies. And these dictators are working together more closely than ever in what some are calling an axis of aggressors or an axis of autocracies. And so some experts say this is the most dangerous national security environment the United States has ever faced, maybe in decades. And this is the legacy, that environment that Biden's handing to his successor. So on balance, I think historians, again, will probably not be kind when they assess Biden's foreign policy.
How do you think his fantasy versus reality was, in terms of foreign policy goals? I mean, the world is different than it was 4 years ago. So how did his goals entering his term differ from where they are at the end of his presidency?
The Biden administration came in saying that they saw China as the biggest state-based threat facing the United States and that they were going to prioritize competition on China. And to do that, they were going to put relations with Russia on a, quote, stable and predictable footing. And they were going to pacify the Middle East by re-entering the Iran nuclear deal. And those things didn't turn out as planned. Instead, we had this major war in Ukraine that continues to drag on into its third year, major war in the Middle East. And I think that's distracted the Biden team from focus on China. Biden has said 4 times that he would defend Taiwan if China invades. But after inflation, the Biden administration is essentially cutting defense spending. So we're not really building the military to do that. So again, I think the idea was to prioritize China. In practice, they've been really caught up with these major wars in Europe and the Middle East.
National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan says the U.S. is very close to brokering a ceasefire hostage deal between Israel and Hamas. We've been here before. We have to preface with that. But if that is achieved, what would that do for his foreign legacy at this point?
Well, you're right. We've been here before, and then Hamas has walked away. So we'll see if it works out. I think if it happens, it will help the foreign policy legacy. But there will be an alternative account that now these hostages have been there for longer than the U.S. hostages were held by the Iranians in 1979. And the hostages in 1979 were released after Carter left, when Reagan took office. And so some may see this as a Trump success. Trump has been making threats that there will be all hell to pay in the Middle East if these hostages are not released. And so the narrative may be that, like with Carter and Reagan, it was this transition that created the opportunity for the hostages to be released.
Matthew Kroenig, thank you for your time.
Thank you.